Greetings and a warm welcome. In our last video, we understood the carbon cycle. Today, our focus will shift towards another crucial process, the nitrogen cycle. This particular cycle holds significant relevance in the ecosystem, also from an examination standpoint. The nitrogen cycle stands as another vital biogeochemical pathway, explaining the flow of nitrogen across the diverse components of Earth's ecosystems. The atmosphere is the reservoir of free gaseous nitrogen, and nitrogen compounds are found in the bodies of organisms and in the soil. Living organisms, except some free-living bacteria, cannot use elemental nitrogen directly. It has to be converted into nitrate or ammonia form to be utilized by plants. Nitrogen is a crucial element for the formation of proteins and DNA in living organisms, and plays a vital role in supporting plant growth and ecosystem productivity. The nitrogen cycle involves several key processes that transform nitrogen into various chemical forms, making it available to different organisms. There are 5 processes by which nitrogen moves in the ecosystem in many different forms. The processes are: Number 1, nitrogen fixation; Number 2, nitrification; 3, assimilation; 4, ammonification; and Number 5, denitrification. So, let us understand all these 5 processes. The nitrogen cycle begins with nitrogen gas in the atmosphere. We all know that about 78% of the Earth's atmosphere is molecular nitrogen, right? Okay, but plants cannot use nitrogen gas directly from the atmosphere. Nitrogen fixation is a natural or industrial process in which the free nitrogen combines chemically with other elements to form nitrogen compounds such as ammonia, nitrates, or nitrites. Remember, either natural or industrial fixation. So, what is nitrogen fixation? In this process, the atmospheric nitrogen is fixed or converted to another form and the plants can use it. In the natural process, atmospheric nitrogen is fixed in 2 different ways: biological and non-biological. Biological fixation of nitrogen. In this process, some bacteria convert molecular nitrogen to ammonia compounds or ammonium ions, which can be used by plants for food synthesis. Non-biological fixation. During lightning and some industrial processes, nitrogen is converted to nitrate, and it dissolves in water, which can be utilized by plants for food synthesis. Biological fixation takes place by 2 different types of bacteria. Accordingly, they are again classified as symbiotic and non-symbiotic fixation. Symbiotic fixation. Symbiotic means a mutually beneficial relationship. Some bacteria make a symbiotic relationship with the plant roots. Bacteria like Rhizobium have a mutual association with leguminous plants. The bacteria convert nitrogen to ammonia, which is shared with the plants. Non-symbiotic fixation. Some bacteria like blue-green algae fix the nitrogen independently in the soil. The industrial process means the production of nitrogen fertilizers and their application in the soil for agricultural productivity. Let us understand the interesting symbiotic fixation through this example. Rhizobium is a nitrogen-fixing microorganism. Rhizobium and leguminous plants have a give-and-take relationship. Rhizobium establishes a symbiotic relationship with the roots of leguminous plants. The plant roots supply the carbohydrates and protect them within the root noodles. The bacteria produce the ammonia from atmospheric air, store them in the root noodles, and share with the plant. So, what is the mechanism involved? Rhizobium invades the root hairs of host plants, where they multiply and stimulate the formation of root nodules and enlargements of plant cells and bacteria in intimate association. Within the nodules, the bacteria convert free nitrogen to ammonia, which the host plant utilizes for its nourishment. In return, the plant supplies the carbohydrates to the bacteria. Nitrification. Nitrification is the process where ammonium ions are converted into nitrites and then into nitrates by nitrifying bacteria. Example: Nitrosomonas and Nitrobacter. This conversion makes nitrogen more available to plants, which can absorb nitrates through their roots. First, ammonia is oxidized to nitrite by the species Nitrosomonas. Next, nitrite is further oxidized by Nitrobacter to nitrate. So, both Nitrosomonas and Nitrobacter are extremely important bacteria for plant nutrition. Now, assimilation. Assimilation is associated with digestion and absorption of food or nutrients to incorporate them into the body. Assimilation is how organisms obtain the necessary substances for growth, energy production, and maintaining bodily functions. It's a fundamental part of the nutrition process across the animal and plant kingdoms. Plants absorb nitrates and ammonia from the soil through their roots and use them to synthesize proteins, nucleic acids, enzymes, etc. Animals assimilate nitrogen by eating the plants and converting them into their own body compounds. Ammonification. Ammonification is related to the decomposition of dead organic matter. When plants and animals die, and when waste products are decomposed by bacteria and fungi, organic nitrogen compounds are broken down into ammonia. This process of breakdown of organic nitrogen compounds is called ammonification. This is a very essential link in the food chain of an ecosystem. This releases nitrogen back into the soil. Denitrification. This is the last step of the nitrogen cycle. This process brings the nitrogen back into the atmosphere. Denitrification is a reduction process. A reduction process is the addition of hydrogen or removal of oxygen from an atom or a group of atoms, or an increase in electrons. This biological reduction takes place in an environment of absence of oxygen. The nitrates or nitrites are reduced into gaseous molecular nitrogen by some anaerobic bacteria. Anaerobic bacteria can live or exist in the absence of oxygen. It involves stepwise reduction of nitrate to nitrite, to nitric oxide, to nitrous oxide, and finally, to atmospheric dinitrogen. The whole cycle can be represented by a schematic diagram. The flow of nitrogen in the ecosystem through different processes can be represented with this diagram. Firstly, the nitrogen fixation. There are two types of nitrogen fixation: biological and non-biological. In biological fixation, atmospheric nitrogen is fixed by two different types of microorganisms that convert nitrogen to ammonia. One is symbiotic fixation and the other is non-symbiotic fixation. Non-biological fixation takes place during lightning and industrial processes and converts nitrogen to nitrate. Secondly, nitrification. Nitrification is the conversion of ammonia to nitrate by nitrifying bacteria. Nitrosomonas convert ammonia to nitrite, and then the nitrobacter oxidizes nitrite to nitrate. Both nitrate and ammonia are usable by plants and are available for root uptake. Thirdly, the assimilation process. Plants take up nitrates and ammonium ions from the soil to synthesize proteins and other nitrogen-containing organic compounds, and assimilate them. Consumers obtain nitrogen by consuming plants or other animals that have already assimilated nitrogen. Fourthly, the ammonification during decomposition of dead organic matter. When organisms die, they are decomposed by bacteria and fungi. Organic nitrogen compounds are broken down into ammonium ions. This releases nitrogen back into the soil. Lastly, the denitrification process. This process occurs under anaerobic or low oxygen conditions. This is the opposite of nitrification and is a reduction process. Some bacteria, example Pseudomonas and Paracoccus, convert nitrates in the soil back into atmospheric nitrogen gas. This completes the cycle. If you are a student and thinking about the diagram from an exam point of view, you may consider this nitrogen cycle with a simple but detailed explanation. This is a simple and systematic schematic diagram of the nitrogen cycle. All 5 processes of the cycles are included here. Hope this will be helpful for you. Just watch carefully. So, what we have learned today? Today we learned that there are 5 steps or processes of the nitrogen cycle, and they are nitrogen fixation, nitrification, assimilation, ammonification and denitrification. Thank you.